What's going on, guys? Welcome back to NolanTCG, and we are back here today with another deck profile, and it is for Paleozoic frogs. So with Toad coming to 2 on the ban list, I'm very excited because I absolutely love this deck. So I finally get to mess around with it again, but there are some things that I don't like that I have to play, and some stuff that's missing out, unfortunately, that you just can't quite play anymore, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But as always, please remember to drop down below and hit that subscribe button if you are new here, because we're always happy to have new people. Big thank you to everyone who's been subscribing, because we hit 1,000 this week. So yeah, there will be a video going up on Sunday as a bit of a thank you. We're going to be doing a giveaway in that as well, so do check that one out if you're here early on the profile. The giveaway, we're probably going to give like a 2-week kind of window. So yeah, if you're like a week later on this deck profile, don't worry. Jump over on that video and you can enter in to win. We're going to be giving away an not an Amphibian accessories, an Imperium Duelist playmat is what we're going to be giving away in that video. But bit of a spoiler, but let's get into the profile. Okay, so starting us off, we have the best card in the deck. Is it the best card in the deck? I don't know. Swap Frog is amazing though. So we have 3 copies of Swap Frog. To this day, it still annoys me that I don't have 3 ultis, but they just got so expensive, so I couldn't afford 3 ultis anymore. So we're just stuck with the 1 ulti and the 2 commons. One day these will be 3 ultis. Following that up, we've got 3 copies of Professor Frog. When he is sent to graveyard, he graduates his degree and grants you place. So that's why he has his professorship, for granting you place. Then we have 2 copies of the Ronin Totem. So he's just going to come back from your grave by banishing your frogs. Really, really good in the late game. Then we are playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom. This is the final monster in the list. It's just kind of needed at the moment. You can't play all going second or all going first cards and expect to win the die roll, especially with the amount of massive combo decks that are running around at the moment. So Ash Blossom is just kind of 100% needed. Next up, we have the card that I don't like playing, but I kind of have to. It's 3 copies of Pot of Desires. It's not the end of the world if you banish all of your frogs, because you can still grind with Paleozoic traps, although it's not the world you want to be in. Ideally, I'd like this to be Extrav and to play an Extrav build instead, but with only 2 totally awesome, it's not something you can quite manage. Next up, we've got the traps. Starting us off, 3 copies of the card that to this day still is not a super rare in Paleozoic Olenoides. Pains me that every single other one in this deck is super rare except for Olenoides. Just why not? Make this a super rare Konami. Next OTS pack, super rare Olenoides. Next up, we've got 3 copies of Candina, the Book of Moon. So if your opponent's playing link plays, just book the Moon. They can't link off with them. Something else you can do, like if you hold off a little bit in the combo, you can maybe look at like Book of Mooning your opponent's Cult Wing now, just to like stop it from summoning the tokens and having them flood the board. But ultimately, you just need to kind of judge as to how many extenders you think your opponent's going to have to stop this. Then we've got 3 copies of Dynamiscus. Your Banisher can remove pretty much anything. Can't remove Dragoon, of course, which is the only issue with the Paleozoic line, is like these cards all target, so Dragoon's a bit of a problem. There are a couple of other just natural outs to Dragoon in the deck though, so he's not a massive issue. But yeah, we're playing Paleozoic Dynamiscus at 3. Next up, we've got 2 copies of Paleozoic Morella. I mainly use this just to fill up my deck, or fill up my graveyard with more Paleozoic cards, just to kind of have those resources there to flood them back onto the board. And then 1 copy of Lincholia to round out our Paleozoics. You can return back your banished. If you're playing Desires, I kind of feel as though this is needed, because you can't return face downs, I believe. You can only return face ups. So yeah, you use this to return your frogs if your frog line looks a bit thin when you've like lost all of your stuff to Desires. Next up, we're playing 3 copies of Trap Trick. This card has become so much more important after the new ban list, simply because now Harpy's Feather Duster is a thing. Something that I am side decking in this. We're not going to go through the side deck on this, but essentially this is my side deck, spoiler alert. So we've got the side deck just here. The 3 copies of Waking the Dragon. So what you want to do is side in your Waking the Dragons going 2nd and 3rd, because you can use the Trap Trick to set the Waking the Dragon if your opponent activates something like a Lightning Storm or a Harpy's Feather Duster, and then it forces the activation of the Waking the Dragon on its resolution. So this card becomes so much better with that interaction. Next off, we've got 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Again, your standard hand trap. It's a trap that can be activated 1st or 2nd, which is why it's so good. You 100% will need this against combo, so it's kind of needed a lot. Next off, 2 copies of Crackdown. This is like my kind of tech trap that I like to play. Stealing my opponent's monsters just kind of disrupts a lot of link plays at the moment, and the cards that require certain cards on board, so Crackdown's just really, really good. Then we've got 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. After that, we always play the mix and match rarities just to annoy people. But yeah, Solemn Judgment, just like, it's a judgment. It's great. You can also use this to negate the Feathers Duster or the Lightning Storm if you need to protect the rest of your cards. So yeah, 3 Judgment. Then lastly, we've got 3 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison. I love this card so much. It outs Dragoon if your opponent summons Dragoon. You can use it against Eldritch. Some interactions I do against Eldritch Invoked is you can steal their... the main interaction against Eldritch Invoked is that you, or just Eldritch in general, is you bring their Golden Lords back and then you banish both of them. And normally they only play 2, so they're completely out of them at that point. Which is why this card is absolutely insane. Also stops like pretty much every combo deck in the meta. So Ice Dragon's Prison is just too good a card not to play. Also, it can be set off the trap trick. Okay, next off we have the extra deck and the beautiful card that came back to 2, and that is totally awesome. I would like to have a third, please, Konami. Please give me the third one to go right here on the next ban list, but 2 for now will do. Ultimately, we can't play an Extrav build with the 2 totally awesome, but we've made some other changes in the extra deck to what we would normally play anyway that makes that kind of good value, not having to play an Extrav in the main deck. Next off, though, we've got 2 copies of Opabenia. Allows you to activate the traps from hand, which is great. Also, just generically good. Like, all the Paleozoic stuff is just kind of good. The Anomalous Icaris is another card that's great. You can pop some stuff on board. Away you go. Then we've got the Skycav. If you bait out the negate for your opponent's Dragoon, this can get through it. And the Cat Shark, in case you need to just beat over it. They're both solid options. The Cat Shark, I don't really like it. It takes up way too many resources to get their play off. So if you're going to cut something, I would probably cut the Cat Shark from this extra deck. Next off, we've got 1 copy of Link Spider to convert your Paleozoics into monsters with effects so that you can use other cards later on in the extra deck. Then we play 1 Iria the Water Charmer. This can be used to take your opponent's Needle Fiber and go into, spoiler alert, the access code that we're playing. I would normally play Boral Sword in this deck, but I kind of figured access code is worth a shot, so we're going to be playing that out for the next little while. Then for the rest of the Link 2s, we've got Miss Starboy and Coral Anemone. There is another Link 2, but these are the Water Link 2s that you like to make. An Enemy's solid card. You can use it to reborn back stuff. Miss Starboy is iffy. He's not as needed as he used to be with the downwards pointing arrows. To come to think of it, this is like the first time I've properly gotten to play this in Master Rule 5. So yeah, I think I tried it for a little bit with Frog at 1, but it was a bit rough. Then we've got our Nightmare package. So we've got a Phoenix and a Unicorn for link climbing into our access code talker. So pop back row, spin stuff back, access code beat over everything, and be big damage boy. And then finally, this can be anything, so you don't need to play this card in particular, but we are playing Dragoon as our Waking the Dragon target. I read this like 4 times thinking like, maybe there's like can't be summoned off Waking the Dragon. You just don't get the pops as far as I'm aware. So yeah, Waking the Dragon, Intro Dragoon, very good card. But that will wrap us up here for the deck profile for this one. So as always, please remember to drop down below and hit that subscribe button if you are new here. It could very well be a thing now that frogs are up on the creator poll, or the creator card poll. So if so, go and vote frogs, please. Drop everything right now and go and vote frogs. If it's not time for frogs, go and look up when it's time for frogs and vote more frogs. But yeah, we really want another main deck frog to go into this because it would be quite nice. Also, yeah, tune into Sunday's video where we're going to be doing the 1k sub giveaway. So yeah, jump onto that if you want to win that Imperium Duelist playmat. And as always, I've been Ben from NolanTCG, and have a good afternoon, everybody.